Alright, so who knows how far away I should be. I just got out of class, our first day of classes, and figured now would be a good time to make a video and say what's up. So I wanted to go through and kind of recap a little bit. So we got moved in, and Isabel's been making the place feel very homey. She got these plants kind of around, which is fun. She was super excited about it. The previous teacher who lived below us, she left a couple plants for us, the little things there. But so that was nice. She actually was really sweet about, leaving me helpful instructions and guides on what to do, as well as like the plants. She was a size 8 shoe as well, and lent Isabel some shoes, some slippers she could have. So that's been really cool. We are here in the apartment. We're getting things, like I said, moved in, set up. It's nice to be out of the quarantine and finally getting to kind of make our way, and start to have it sink in that this isn't some short-term thing, but it will be going for at least a year in the contract, and we'll get to be here. We get to kind of have this home camp that we spread around. So COVID's still limiting a decent amount. Actually, when we go into businesses, we have to call a phone number. We don't have to say anything. We just call the number, and it keeps a record. That way, when we are out and about, it kind of, it knows. So then if somebody who was working there had COVID and we were there at the same time, they would call us and they would tell us. And it might be in Korean, and we might not know what they're saying. So I'm not sure about that. So on Friday, today is a Monday. On Friday, I had my first day of work, but I didn't have a class. I go to a school that's about a 20-minute walk away, which I love. I'm always down for walking. That was one of the things I mentioned before that I was excited about. So walked over there. There weren't any teachers there. It was like a planning day. Some teachers took it off, others came in. So I had the choice. Isabel was going to be working that day anyway, so there's no real point in me using a vacation day if I'm just going to be sitting at home. Went in, got to look at the textbooks, look through the material, and kind of get a feel of what the level of understanding the different kids are at. What are the things I need to be teaching? So that was nice, but overall just a good day to get acclimated into the school. Then the weekend came, and that was great for setting up stuff we need. We've taken multiple trips to the kind of like the Korean dollar store, which is super. Everything in Korea is super cute. Like all the the little plushies, the little animals, the little cartoon figures they use for stuff. It's all very cute. And so their dollar store has things that are actually nice. So we got just a couple of things from that. Probably going to keep buying a little bit of stuff to make the place feel like home as much as it can. Because at the end of the day, if you're working a long day, maybe had some hard lessons, maybe just had lessons and you had to teach kids, you want to come home to a place that feels nice. You don't want it to just feel like a temporary stay somewhere. That was one of the big tips that people said. So that was good. Today, it was the first time that I worked with the kids and got to teach a class. I say teach kind of loosely. It was an orientation day, or not orientation day, introductory day. So today, on every Monday, I go to a different school. So I have the one school 20 minutes away that I go to. On Mondays, I go to a different school that's up north, along this river, which is really, really neat. It's about a 25-minute bus ride, depending on the traffic. But the teachers there were extremely friendly. For example, on the first day, because it was my first day, a teacher gave me a ride there, which is really helpful to make sure that I go to the right school. Sometimes you can translate words differently. So they have the Korean, and then when you put it in English words, or English characters, it can change the way people, sometimes they'll use a CH instead of a K. Because if you think about how many times if a C can make a K sound and a K can make a K sound, it's not extremely helpful all the time. So a lot of times they'll give you a ride to show you where it is, and I'll just drop a little pin on Kakao Maps, which is like Google Maps in Korea, and that way I know exactly where I need to go, and I don't have to worry about, you know, how good am I at writing Hangul, which is the written Korean language, or translating it into English. So that was really neat, extremely friendly. He picked me up today at 8:15, and his daughter is actually in one of my classes, which is really cool. He's a 4th grade teacher there. She's in 3rd grade. I taught her today, and he was saying that he's actually so close to his house that he'll actually pick me up every day. So I thought I was gonna have to ride the bus, but he said each Monday, if I'm just out at 8:15, he'll swing by, which is extremely kind. I mean, I was, you know, trying to train and like practice. We practiced riding the bus over the weekend to get used to that. The beautiful thing, side note about buses, if you've ridden a bus anywhere in the world, they basically work the same way. And that's so cool to me, that you don't have to really know the language to navigate a bus system. You just get at the stop, you can check your app. Almost everywhere's got a Maps app now that will tell you. If you don't, a lot of times they have the schedule just right there, and it'll tell you which bus route you want to go, where you need to be, and then on Maps you can just zoom in and see the stops, and then when yours is next, you just click the stop button. I don't have to know any of the names of places. I just see my little guy moving with its little GPS. It's insane to me how cool that is. That was really neat. The buses weren't a problem. At least I didn't think they were. I got a bus card. Let me pull that out. So this is my bus card that I tap every time I get in. I don't know who this is. If someone knows who this is, let me know. They had pulled out like this whole host of like kind of boring plain looking ones, and then like 6 or 7 were just Korean dudes. And I was like, I'm definitely picking a Korean dude. I just thought it was funny. So he's probably like an actor. I think the other people were like musicians. So yeah, that was my bus card. The buses weren't bad. And then, but today, my contract, my schedule said that I'm done working at 4:30 at the school. So I woke up 8:15, got in at 8:30, and then it was supposed to be done at 4:30. And then at 4:20, the principal leans over and tells me, hey, you missed the bus, so I'll take you home. And I said, huh? And then I asked someone, I said, I missed the bus? And he said, yeah, it comes at 4:10 every day. And I looked down at my paper and I was like, but it says I work till 4:30. And they said, oh, and I said, you can leave at 4. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then the principal of the school drove me home, which is huge. Like, obviously, people get respect in the US, but like when you're above somebody in the hierarchy in Korea, it's a really big deal. People bow every time they see them. They are extremely particular about the honorifics they put on their words, saying amiras, yo, things like that on the end of every single word they use, basically, to be able to honor someone who's above them inside of their school. And so he offered to give me a ride, and he was speaking with me, and he knows a pretty good amount of English. He downplayed it a lot, but we could have a conversation. And he told me about he talked about the school, talked about just kind of like around the area. He said I remind him of his kids, because he's got a son who's 21 and a daughter who's also 24. So I thought that was fun. I told him that I asked what they did, and he said that one of them was in the army, and so I asked them, and they said that they moved out recently. I said, oh, you know, in the US we call the empty nesters, and explained to them about like when the bird, and then they fly off, and then you get freedom. And then he said no, he said I have one more. I have the third, who's middle school. And we were laughing about that. And it was a really nice ride, and I think it's really sweet because I was mentioning the honor, and I think everywhere that I've gone, obviously it's my first day, but there's a lot of honor given to me on the coming in and teaching, I've felt it anyway. Not everybody feels this at their schools, but I felt very valued, and that they respect me and enjoy me being there. And it's really crazy because I don't speak any Korean really, and like I said, I want to change that. I need to be serious about doing one Rosetta Stone a day, I think, at least, and then I would also love to find a class that I can do, because I go through it and I practice reading a lot, and I think I'm getting better at reading the written, but I don't know what the words mean. And if you asked me to make a sentence, I'd be really nervous. Like I could say I like, or I could say I want something, like a couple things. Like I could say that's 주세요 is I think is that like or want? 좋아요 is like, and 주세요 is want. So like I could say like 물 주세요, which is like I want water, and I could say like 우유 좋아요, which means I like milk. But that's the best thing to do. And I teach that to the third graders here. That's like the first thing, not the first thing, but one of the first things that they learn when they start learning the language is like the next class I'm going to teach these kids is I like chicken. And I'm out here, basically the only thing I know how to say is I like milk or water. Or tea, cha, juice. So it's interesting, but it's not been bad. I think there's an extreme advantage, and I feel extremely blessed to have learned English from the jump, from the get-go, being a native speaker in English. Because I was telling people this, and I know that you can't use this everywhere, but I would say almost everywhere, there's people will know a couple words in English, I would think. Like, and I've been seeing it here. You go into a restaurant here and they know English. Obviously, we have a history different in South Korea than other countries. That's true. And our army has a big presence and stuff. So that influences it differently. But I know that English a lot of the times, like, and I mean simple stuff like hello. Like people recognize hello. Not, kind of worldwide. Or goodbye, like there's little words that they might get. And if you think about other languages like Vietnamese or Thai, like I don't know how to say anything in those languages. I don't know how to sing a single word. But because I'm speaking English, I could go places and a lot of the time people would know a bit. And maybe they would be more patient with me because they know just a bit. Or maybe they would want to know English, and so they would offer me respect because I'm somebody who speaks English. So I don't know, it's just really interesting. And we found that even at little restaurants or things like that, people have seemed really friendly. At least we felt that, even though we've not known how to do stuff, asked questions, gotten things wrong. But I love adventuring, going on there, and like I said, I can read the words, but I don't know what they mean. So I look, if the menu on the board doesn't have pictures, we go through and read it. And sometimes you can recognize certain things, like pork is like samgyeopsal. My pronunciation on stuff is not great. And you got bulgogi, which is, we live on Bulgogi Street. Bulgogi is delicious. It's great. And it's like a marinated, just a marinade. So you could have like bulgogi beef, bulgogi chicken, things like that. But we can read it. And so if there are some things that I have no idea what they say, or I have no idea what they are, but I can read it and know what they say, I order it if that's what they do. And so I'll read it off the board, and it's so cool to be able to say it, and then the cashier knows what I want and puts it in this whole thing. It's really interesting. So I'm excited to see how that can grow. I've heard it's even though that you're here, you still need to make an effort to learn it. A friend of ours has a friend that lived here for a year, actually did this program this previous year, and they mentioned that she didn't really learn much Korean at all, that she had been here, and it kind of discouraged them and made them worried if would be harder than you would think, which I'm sure that it is, but I know that it's just, there are luxuries. I can type stuff into my phone. I've been taking pictures of things and it'll translate it for me. And it's easy to use those as a crutch and not actually learn, because you just always have access to that. So I don't know, I'm curious about it. I think sitting at the table at the teachers meeting, because I was actually already working there, but they were all meeting. They meet every Monday. And they were just speaking Korean and everything. And I'd kind of look over and try to listen, just to be a part, to show that I care. Maybe, try to pick up a word, but I'm not going to understand really any of it. And it's crazy to realize how little that I know. Like I said, forming sentences are tough, almost impossible for me. And so, like, if somebody tried to speak Korean to me, I couldn't even say I speak a little bit, really, because I speak basically nothing. And it puts into perspective, like, Spanish, like, I could talk to somebody in Spanish, like, a little bit. We could have a conversation. They'd have to work with me, but I could probably figure out my way through it. And I still don't feel like I really know how to speak Spanish well. So it's a perspective shift. Yeah, it's interesting. So the first day went well. I'm excited to teach about our like chicken. Let me give a bit of a room tour to see what we're working with. So this might be crazy. Here is let me zoom out. Here's the bedroom where I was just sitting. Got a TV going on right here. Here's our closet. This is where we're trying to fit all of our clothes. It's just inside of this space. And then you can walk out of the bedroom. To the left, you have the bathroom, which is also a shower. So if you notice, there's no shower basin. There's just a shower head on the side. And that's because the whole floor is a shower. You can even see the floor is raised up a bit right there to not let water spill out. And it all goes down the drain. If you just have to, don't spray it on your stuff or else all that's getting wet. So it's really interesting. You can see how it attaches to the sink as well. So they don't even put in a separate pipe. It just comes right off the sink. And it's an interesting style. Honestly, it's not as bad as it may seem. It's kind of nice. We actually have a gas stove. Isabel's putting some white kind of texture over the drawers and doors, so getting that. This is basically that's all the food storage for the most part. Put a microwave on top of this. Here's the living space. We've got, this is a temporary setup for our computers. We've got both set up right there. I think we might get some, like, a couple desks to put against the wall, and then we can move the table over here, and that's empty space. And then in here we have, we store our luggage underneath there, but this is where the washer is. We got our laundry bin right there. Our detergent comes in bags, even cheaper than in a bottle, which is kind of hype. This is a drying rack that you put those on. Same thing with up here. You hang clothes and things right on top of it. These doors slide. Slide to close it. And that's the whole thing. Let me stand right at the entrance so you can see it pan.